welcome to College Council. We got a number of people who are out at conferences, but as they say, show business, the show almost always needs to go on. Justin, before we leave, if we can connect, I want to make sure you saw the email about the meeting I'm trying to put together for tomorrow.
We're live.
Okay, great.
We're live.
Great. Welcome, everybody. My name is Ricky Shabazz. I have the honor and privilege of being the president of San Diego City College. We are at our College Council meeting. College Council is the highest level of governance at San Diego City College, where we discuss anything that folks would like to discuss at the college. Today, we will be discussing campus safety, and so I want to turn it over to John Parker in a little while to go over campus safety. Campus safety is always our #1 priority to make sure that all of our wonderful students and folks, colleagues that work at City College are indeed safe. And I am super happy to see that our facilities folks are working on what is the employee bathroom. Kudos to John Parker. I don't want to steal his thunder, but when I went to go use the bathroom, I saw them there. I was very appreciative that he got right on that. And want to shout out Dora, our director of admission and records, who brought that forward in our convocation. And we heard a number of employees, some challenges for the key to the bathroom. So we're now putting a Bob on there so that it is easily accessible to folks. And so we'll get into that, and I want to totally steal John's thunder there. But again, College Council is the highest level of governance for our college. If you would like to bring a matter forward, you can do so one of two ways, either emailing Tia, Angel, or myself in the president's office, and or working with one of these amazing professionals who I get to work with. Mona is our academic senate president. She is out today. I believe she's attending a conference. Tilly is the vice president of instruction.
Present.
Robbie is the dean of information and learning technology. I thought I saw Caesar online.
I am present.
Daniel is the SPA rep.
Present.
Sunai is the president of Chairs Cabinet. Susan is the dean of institutional effectiveness and co-chair of city planning. I so like city planning versus improv.
Present.
Dee is the administrative representative.
Present.
Michelle is the reason we are all here representing the Associated Student Government.
Present.
John is the vice president of administrative services. Bernice is filling in for Marciano, who is attending a conference.
Present.
Sean is the president of the classified senate.
He stepped out, but
I was
he's
gonna
back.
say, I thought I just saw Sean. He is here. Justin is the past president of academic senate. And Anna Rogers is standing in for Marco. Congratulations again are in order for Marco, who welcomed a little person into his family. Although I was saying to Anna that it seemed like he never was not here, but Anna is standing in for our coordinator of professional learning. Those are the leaders of our campus that make up College Council. If you would like to discuss any matter with them or College Council, please reach out to either of us. The next item on the agenda well, it actually is combined. So we need a motion to approve the notes from February 4th. Get a brave soul would like to do a motion to approve the minutes from February 4th. Thank you. I think I saw a hand from both Robbie and Justin, so that's the first and second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone want to abstain or object? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 2 is the process for resolutions, which is a conversation that Mona and I discussed, that all faculty resolutions would come to College Council. Just anything you want to add to that?
I think that's it. Mona would like those to be read here so that, there's a line of communication.
Yeah, looking forward to that. What would normally happen is that they would be read at the district board meeting and or district governance council, which is the district version of this meeting right here. Mona and I met, and thought it would be appropriate for them to be read here as well. So moving forward, if you have faculty or student resolutions would come to college council, so that we also have a record here at our campus. Before or as I transition to item 3, which is what the bulk of the meeting is going to be about, to include some action items. Want to again publicly thank John Parker for responding to the concerns that were presented during convocation. Again, I want to acknowledge Dora. Thank you for bringing those concerns forward. You can always bring them to my office though, and I promise we will act on them. So I'm not saying we acted on them because it was done a convocation. I'm saying we acted on them because prior to that, I had no knowledge of that. And so I got with John Parker. Kudos to him. And let me also offer John Parker an apology, a public apology at that, because during the managers meeting, I disagreed with his characterization of the safety matters on campus as being, how did you describe it?
High profile.
Yes, and I took issue with how high profile, and I could have handled that better in a sense that the emotions that run through me when we talk about campus safety, because it is the #1 priority, is kind of reminiscent to Justin also standing up in convocation and making sure that we don't lose sight just because we have unhoused folks and we're an urban campus and we're an open campus, that doesn't make us less safe. Where we got into a discussion on the semantics of the words is I am hyper aware and hypersensitive to everybody's safety on campus. And so just wanted to offer a public apology and me preferring that John Parker not use the term. But in respect to the context, we did have a situation on campus that wound up getting on TV, which unfortunately is not uncommon. Anytime anything happens near San Diego City College, they characterize it as at City College. And that is just the reality that we live in, and the reality that things get on the news that I just never thought would get on the news in other places that I've worked. But wanted to offer that public apology or acknowledgement as we transition to John Parker, who's doing a wonderful job with his team. I assure you that there's not a day that goes by that we don't talk about health and safety on this campus. And I just, let me step back before I turn over to John Parker. We have a new addition to our campus, who I want to turn it over to Tilly to introduce, and then we'll go back and have John Parker do this campus statement update. Tilly?
Thank you, Ricky. Welcome, everyone, and I just want to welcome Manuel Velez. He's our acting dean of our behavioral social. Why don't you tell me your title and then just tell them who you are?
I'm the acting dean of behavioral social sciences and consumer and family studies.
It's got it
You
down.
deserve a gold star just for being able to say the whole.
I will tell you how long it took me.
Yeah. But we're still trying to get it together too. So,
And today's his first day.
yes.
I'm
Well-
beaming. I'm beaming with health. Thank you.
And I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. Welcome. I know that we're going to be chatting afterwards because there's a number of things going on in your area that we're looking to brief you on. You're inheriting a great group of people to include our past president who is here with us today as well. And on loan from Mason College, where you also are a faculty member in Chicago Studies. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me turn it over to John Parker to the health and safety.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that acknowledgement as well. Wasn't expected. Appreciate it nonetheless. we don't want to superimpose any of the incidents on campus, but we certainly don't want to downplay them either. And it was just a spirited discussion because Ricky mentioned, we talk about it pretty much on a daily basis. Many of you see the reports that come through on a daily basis. So as I mentioned quite frequently, administrative services, that's one of our top priorities, is the safety and security of the campus. Before we kick it off into the presentation, we did shoot just this morning a new safety video, which featured Lieutenant Hughes, John Boyce, Steve, and I, which will be finished by tomorrow, I believe. Sorry, Sip, no pressure, but just a day turnaround that we will be sending out to the campus, just discussing some of our initiatives and what we're doing to address safety and security concerns as ProStat convocation, managers meeting, and previous college council meetings as well. Before we kick it off as well, I know you're sitting in for Lieutenant Hughes, Sergeant Soto. Are you good on time?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
great.
definitely.
I didn't want to rush.
No, you're fine.
So if we could bring up, thank you, Tia. And this is similar to the forum, the safety forum that we've held the last couple of years. I think the last one was in fall. So we're not going to be as thorough because some of it is repetitive, but we do want to highlight some of the salient items in this presentation. And before I turn it over to John, so we'll bounce back and forth. We are missing a couple of people today, but we'll bounce back and forth. And before I turn it over to John, I just want to say that regarding the restrooms that Ricky touched on, right outside, they added the fob already. They're done with adding the fob reader. It's going to take about another week to program that and give folks access to have a fob. But the reader is in, and we're making progress there. We do.
Let me say, this is the quickest
Mhm.
I've ever seen anything.
Well, we didn't have to wait on parts. There were some parts that it delayed in about 2 weeks because we were waiting on parts. It would have been done sooner. We do have a site improvement for the AH building for 2 locations that were identified there because we have to add walls and doors. It's just an opening now. It's a public restroom. We actually need a second quote for that because of the scope and price. That's happening this week, and we'll be able to or greenlighting that and getting the contractors in to get those walls and doors. I was having a discussion with the district regarding the gender neutral restroom on the 2nd floor next to the Welcome Center, facing the east side of Schwartz there. That is covered under AB 1732. And we explored, I think we talked about it in the managers meeting, we would explore options there as a gender neutral restroom to convert it into employee only restroom. Due to AB 1732, it is a requirement by law. So legally, we cannot convert that into employee-only restroom. We've done our due diligence, but unfortunately, because of AB 1732, it pressed that. However, we'll have hopefully a couple more after we receive the second quote this week. And with the bond fund, Measure HH bond fund, we will explore other opportunities in the future. So with that, I want to kick it over to John Boyce, who will start our presentation.
Thank you, John. I just wanted to highlight.
Michelle has a.
Sorry. So now that the employees have like, I'm so glad about that, but I was noticing that the student restroom rarely ever have soap, like the commons has not had any soap in black. And so that's something that I feel is very frustrating, especially considering that does also like imply the safety of our students. And then the other bathroom that is here too, which is next to student affairs, tends to always be locked. So I was wondering who I could get in contact with. Okay, yeah.
That's it. You can directly with me, and I've written it down, and I'll be right on it. Thank you for
Thank you
that.
so much.
You know, I'm sorry, just to say, there's a lot out there that we put out there during COVID, hand sanitizers and things like that, that have gone in that manner. So I think that's just another thing. If there's some place that we can access and let people know how to get those updated, other than calling you every single time.
I thought that we had stickers in the bathroom
We do have
that
stickers.
said, if,
Those are for the on-flow machines.
Yeah.
We can't create a similar sticker, TP, hand soap, other sanitizers.
Just in general, because I know that'll be the next question.
Yes, good point, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight several of the recent safety updated items. As you can see, the first bullet is 2024 summary of work-related injuries and illnesses. Next, I'll talk about the 2024 San Diego Fire Rescue all campus inspections completed. Thirdly, the safety improvements on campus, and then finally, the safety trainings on campus. So this 2024 summary of work-related injuries and illnesses, we have an average number of employees annually of 848. Our total hours worked are 827,000 plus. So for the last year, 2024, our total number of injuries counted to 10. That included, of those 10, total cases with days away from work, 2. Total number of days away from work from those 2 were 110 days. And then the total cases with job transfer or restrictions were 1. And that job transfer and restriction amounted to 180 days. And then the remainder were other reportable cases of 7. So that totals 10 reportable injuries for the year. And comparing last year, year over year with 2023 statistics, we had 9 total injuries. But of those, we had 4 were total cases with days away from work and 274 days away from work. So it's about 3 times as many. Twice as many cases, 3 times almost as many days away from work. And then we had 1 job restriction last year, same as this year. And then finally, we had total number of days with job transfer, 319 last year. Today was 180, so that's better. And then the total number of other reportable cases were 4 last year. So moving along, I'd like to highlight our 2024 San Diego Fire Rescue all campus inspections. Every year, the San Diego Fire Rescue sends the fire marshal over to our campus to thoroughly inspect all buildings on campus. And you can see I've separated them into 4 sectors, and 3 are standard inspections, and the 4th of building at the bottom, buildings TS. That's technology building, science, where laboratories are and so on. That's considered a hazmat inspection. So all 4 of those categories were thoroughly inspected and we were approved with flying colors. So that's a good kudos to everyone doing safe behaviors on campus. Next, I wanted to highlight the recent safety improvements on campus. The top one shows our S building, our science building rooftop had 4 heating, ventilation, air conditioning dampers replaced. Those are the big dampers that control the flow air through the building. Those are upgraded. S building also got the vacuum systems annually tested, calibrated, and certified by a professional engineer. We've got new safety signage throughout campus, including Live Safe, new NFPA 704 diamonds. That's the alert safety triangles you'll see. Fire risers, campus directories, and fire extinguisher placards are been upgraded. We've got a new electric utility cart safety cage that's been installed at the T building patio for safely storing our small electric vehicles. And then finally, we've got the old newspaper dispenser boxes have been removed from on campus since we're no longer printing the newspaper.
Yes, thank you for that. I just wanted to add to that too, John,
Please.
because I didn't submit this for you. In addition to the old newspaper dispensers, I don't recall if we provided this update during our last training, but there are receptacles on the perimeter of campus that were serviced by the city, city receptacles. And I believe most of them were removed. I think I identified one that was not. But they did remove those as well because they were overflowing, they weren't being serviced. We were receiving calls local residents saying, hey, could you please clean those up, but they weren't our responsibility, so they were. In addition to that, we removed a lot of shrubs as well, in some of the more ominous places, especially during dark daylight savings time at about 4:30 or so, one of them being along the Garfield lot right here on 16th Street, parking lot C, move those shrubs and weeds and laid mulch, barrier and mulch. We've done the same thing at LRC, move those shrubs as well, because that was a very popular hangout during the evening. We're actually have a plan to replace that with new landscaping similar to City Park here, low maintenance, drought resistance, big boulders, not the small that we're doing with glass, but just to make it a little more open and safe. And we're also looking for a second or a third quote for the enclosure behind the LRC where that elevator is, to restrict access to and from outside of working hours, because that's also a popular spot for folks to hang out, especially in that elevator or enclave in the elevator. And it's not very safe for those who are coming early in the morning or leaving late in the evening. So some of those are enhancements that I wanted to add on there to the site safety.
Thank you. Those are significant improvements to the safety on campus. And then the fourth bullets slide I wanted to go over are this safety training on campus. We've been holding different types of training on campus for every group that is interested. The ALICE trainings, those have been held for the science department, financial aid department, and basic needs. We've got upcoming ALICE trainings in the spring semester coming forward. We've had CSER trainings, that's college, city, emergency response training. We've got 13 new certified first responders in the most recent class, and we've got another class being scheduled for later in the spring semester. The third one is the CPR, AED, emergency first aid trainings that have gone on in campus with student affairs department, college police, classified open sign up for anyone to attend, and as well as the student public forum at that type of training. The fourth bullet is the fire extinguisher, choking, Heimlich maneuver, fire hazards and prevention, and emergency procedures trainings that have gone on with student affairs, college police, and small groups throughout campus. And those are continuing monthly throughout the campus. Thank you.
Thank you for that, John. And I'll touch on, we'll pivot over to Sergeant Soto, and we don't have it on here, we'll just give a brief update regarding that program.
Yes.
As well, then I'll follow up with the lift safety and way back.
Yes, well, first off, Sergeant Soto, assigned here at City College. I know I've met a few of you guys, but yeah, I'm working in the mornings, and I'm here on behalf of Lieutenant Hughes. One of the things that he wanted me to talk about is the cadet program. My understanding that it's moving forward by the end of March. We're going to start with the pilot program of 4 cadets, and that's going to be district wide. And their main priority is pretty much ice and ears for us and show that presence around the campus. And eventually, as the program, hopefully it succeeds and it moves forward and there's interest, we're going to increase the number of cadets. It's going to be targeted for students that are interested in some kind of law enforcement career in the future. But also not going to be, they're not just going to be walking around the campuses. The plan is to also include a little bit of, exposure in dispatch, clerical records and stuff like that, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in the background, and it's going to be open for them as well. But yeah, hopefully, like I said, pilot program for to start with, and then we'll move forward with that.
So Sergeant Soto, can you explain briefly the difference between the cadet program and the City College Nights Watch program for those?
Well, my understanding is, like I said, the cadet's going to be targeted more for students to be exposed to law enforcement jobs and careers. And the nights program is for faculty, they're pretty much working in or participating, volunteering in the evening hours. I'm not too sure what the hours are gonna be for the cadet program, but it's more targeted for students.
And thank you for that. So it'll be for students and faculty, essentially the same, just under different management of the district rather than city college. Still have escort or chaperone services, I should say, in the evening. And that we will be using in conjunction with the Live Safe app. I'll provide an update for that shortly. They'll have similar training, but more required training and certification, and they'll have different uniforms than the city watch uniforms. These would be polos with blue khakis and blue polos with an insignia of cadets insignia on their polo shirts as well. So same functionality, same purpose, same mission, just a new look, more training and under different management. Any questions for, yes?
A lot of questions.
Yes.
One is, so, well, you said this is the cadet program is a district-wide program or just the city program administered? Okay, and then I have questions. Well, I'm a little concerned because a cadet is a police in training who's actually hired as a police officer, right? I mean, that's what the police training academies, how they refer to.
These will be part-time NANCs. They will not be cadets or police in training. They will be part-time under the district's.
Yeah, but to Justin's point, they are more than likely to be students. More than likely to be students who are interested in going into this as a career, not necessarily, but more than likely to be. And our goal, Justin, is to get our current students involved in some of these spaces in the way that the Night's Watch was. We would prefer to continue the Night's Watch, but given concerns expressed by people who have similar position descriptions, it limited our ability to do the Night's Watch. So they're going to be our students. That is the goal, is for these folks to be hired and to be our students under the leadership of campus police, which is very different than the way Night's Watch was run. But unfortunately, given the employee groups that we have, there was a concern expressed that the Night's Watch was similar enough in nature to the existing CSO process. CSO.
Community service officer.
That is our, well, I'm gonna defer to my colleague in terms of explaining what they are. I don't want to misspeak.
Yes, so CSOs, their main priority is parking enforcement, but they also, they serve as eyes and ears for us. They walk around the campuses, report any graffiti, vandalism that they come across, and they also take reports. With my understanding with the cadet program, they're not going to be doing citations or anything like that. It's just more of that visual presence around the campus. And I think the confusion a little bit is that officers that are in the academy sometimes are referred as cadet or recruits, but it's nothing. For us, it's just going to be the cadet program is different from someone that's in the academy.
So my other questions are, I'll limit it to a couple. What is this going to be? So this sounds like an internship. So is this governed by existing policy in terms of how internships are already or sort of governed, I guess? And then the next question is, what training? Because I mean, if you start to dress up these cadets in a kind of para police outfit, then it does make them appear to be police. if they have any police insignias on them. And so I'm concerned. I'm concerned my concern is about what kind of training, specific training, so internship, the training. And then the last would be the selection process, I guess. So sorry to bombard the questions, but this is the first time I've heard of this.
And if I could jump in there, all very welcome questions that, to whatever degree, Justin, we have as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sergeant, but this is going to be piloted at CE first.
I don't know exactly where, but I know it's piloted for at least four individuals throughout the district.
So Justin, those are questions I think we're gonna have to pose to Chief, because I don't know that I've seen the answers to those questions myself. So John, I would ask you to work with the sergeant to pose those questions. And to Justin's point, at some point, we probably need to invite either Chief or Joel to just do a whole presentation on the cadet program, which has not occurred as of yet.
No.
So I have those questions, I'll follow up.
What I, and I want to be careful to not misspeak, but what I believe this would be similar in nature to, one, there are community college campuses that have a program like this. I've had them, the last two campuses that I've worked at, and they actually were very successful in trying to approach community policing. Two, if Justin, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but I've heard the term, and correct me, Sergeant, like the police explorer programs that occur in a lot of like the high schools, where there are people who are interested, maybe exploring interest in going into this as a career. This also tends to be used as a program to get certain populations off the streets, after school program kind of things. But to your question, I have yet to see the plan or presentation on the plan. I just know that it's coming, that there's a desire to do so.
So I'm sorry, you said this is coming from Vice Chancellor Peterson?
Well, the police report to him by way of the chief.
But I'm just trying to understand the origin point. So it's coming from the district or from the chief's office?
I don't know, I'm not sure that I can answer that question other than to say that I have absolutely been in discussions about a cadet program. I had a very positive experience with one when I was the dean at Compton College. I think over the years that I've been here, there's been a desire to get our students more involved in safety and campus safety and things of that nature that ultimately led to this direction. But I think the chief or Joe would be best to answer that question.
And then one question, what would the cadets actually be able to do?
Well, they're not gonna go hands-on, they're not gonna stop an individual, it's pretty much observe and report. If they see something, they're gonna call us, then we will address the issues. They're not gonna be, getting into the middle of a discussion among people or anything like that. This is pretty much an observe and report program. Yeah, from a safe distance. Yeah.
Which is very similar in nature to what I would argue was a successful program with city, the Knights Watch. I always want to call it patrol, and I know it's not patrol. The Knights Watch, which was at some point voluntarily offered primarily during daylight savings hours to help people get to and from their vehicles or certain areas of the campus. So I would hope that it would be similar in nature to that. But we would welcome the invitation to invite Joel or the chief to expand on that.
Do so. Any other questions for Sergeant Soto? If not, we'll continue. Sergeant Soto, your welcome to stay, but I know you're on duty. Duty calls.
Right, I mean, if you need me, I can stay.
It's really your call. We'll continue with the other items. But you're not here, that's the thing. I wanted to pivot over to the Live Safe app. I have provided a couple of updates previously regarding the conversion to the Rave app. That's RAVE. We extended last year the Live Safe app during the conversion of the pilot last year because we didn't want to go without any service. That service will expire next month.
Oh.
I'm working with Live Safe to see if we can do a month to month rather than extend it a year because the Rave has been rolled out. It has the same functionality as Live Safe, but there's going to be a learning curve. I just don't want to throw it on our community without any training or updates. And in fact, I'll be have invited the district team to health and safety, and I will later invite the college council to talk about the new functionality of Rave and how it compares to Live Safe. So Rave is a district-wide app that'll be rolled out, that it has been rolled out through PeopleSoft. So there's a contract that's existing. Again, we'll solve the Live Safe app. Once we feel comfortable, I say we, the health and safety and the campus in general, that we can make that transition, but until then, we will run parallel. For those who do not have it, please download it. We use it on a daily basis. We use it more than any campus in the district on a daily basis, several times. It works wonderfully. To your point that you had added earlier, if there are any recommendations, any questions, don't wait till this meeting, don't wait till the health and safety meeting. Please send them to me if it regards facilities or safety. Health and safety, you can send to John Boyce. Facilities and safety, you can send to Steve Devers and me. I'm more than welcome. We'll get it to the right person if it doesn't belong to us, but we just want to hear from you. If there are any recommendations, suggestions, or questions. And if you are so inclined to visit the Health and Safety Committee, you may do so. We convene every month, the first Thursday of each month at 10 a.m.
Where?
It's on Zoom. So if you're interested, we can forward you the link. And you can attend, pose any questions, ideas, or suggestions as a guest.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we have a facilities planning meeting on a monthly basis, and the date, thank you for bringing that up, Taylor. The facilities planning, I don't have that deck in here, but we have a monthly meeting as well, and you are encouraged to visit that meeting. It is a virtual meeting online. You can visit our health and safety page and administrative services, in addition to the facilities planning page and the administrative services website for updates and resources as well. With that, I'd like to open it up for any questions related to facilities, health, safety, training that we are able to answer. Yes, Dan.
I have a question. When is the Live Safe app slated to sunshine?
We don't have a date yet. It's going to be, for me, it's going to be month by month until we have a level of comfort regarding the functionality and use of Rave. So I'm going to reach out to the Live Safe folks. And again, if they can't do it month to month, I'm just going to do it for another year. But we don't have a sunset date today.
I like that idea because, you know, you've worked so hard to get us using the Live Safe.
Yes.
And so I can just see myself in that situation, going in the Live Safe when I'm really supposed to be in Rave. So I like the idea that you can have a little overlap until you get used to it.
Yes, thank you. We'll be using both of them.
And I think also the Live Safe has been beneficial with the new Teams phones that aren't so easy to always access and use. The Live Safe is a lot easier to get on there and get what you need done than go with the Teams.
No, I'm still learning to.
Yeah.
I'm in a Zoom and it interrupts me and I don't
Right.
know what to do. So that's a huge learning curve. Live Safe is not that bad.
Right. That's
No more questions, comments?
The air filters are still available or no for the purifiers?
Yes, we have replacement HEPA 13 carbon air purifier.
Contact you?
Contact me.
Okay.
And get up to you, in, our receiving area. For anyone who needs it.
And just,
So the little red light comes on.
Right.
After a certain number of hours of use, as an indicator to check the filters.
and just because there's a surge of flu and other things out there, and Daniel, thank you for wearing your mask and being a good steward of that. There's still masks available and hand sanitizers, all those things are still available.
Masks are still available, yes. At receiving.
Thank you.
But contact me, I can get them to you, whoever needs them, deliver them.
Thank you for that, Tilly, because I still use my purifier and I see that a lot of people do and my light hasn't come on in 3 years.
Mine has come on twice.
I need to use mine.
Well, if you had the warmer office, you would.
So being that health and safety will always be our #1 priority of everybody on campus, I am going to strongly request that John work with Justin and Mona to do this presentation in the academic senate and the Chairs Academy. We need to take this on the road. I'm going to also request as part of your video and your update that's coming up that you include the deck for folks. This is only as good as people are aware, and we're using every modality of communication to get this in the hands of folks. And so for those of you who are in offices, working with John Boyce to get a Live Safe app advertisement in your area and or presentation is so important to making sure that people are aware of the things that are in place. You know, sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. So because people may not be interacting with John Boyce, they may not know he's walking around the campus regularly assessing things and fixing and addressing things without anyone ever knowing. And so we want to make sure that everybody knows who John Boyce is, because it was a huge investor. Matter of fact, I was joking with him earlier that every time I see him, I want to say welcome back, because he left us for a little while and returned, and I'm so happy that he returned because it took a lot of resources to get his position at the college, and he does a wonderful job in what he is involved in terms of keeping the campus safe and healthy. Any other questions before we move on?
I just want to make a comment. It's kind of important because whenever we call college police, it's a real pain to do it in the new teens phones unless you memorize the number, and then you still have to dial. I know Peter Maharaj sent out an email regarding how to place the police number on your phone under speed dial. So I encourage everybody to look at that and do it on their phones, because trust me, when you have an incident going on and you're under stress, it's really hard for you to figure out how to call college police. And I'm speaking from experience.
Can we do a video on how to do that? Did his communication include the video?
It's a PDF, not a video.
Maybe we can work with Cyprian on how to do that. And I don't know if there's time, there's not pressing time to get the video out. Maybe we can add that to the health and safety video.
I expect.
I know I have to set it up myself. I have it actually on my cell phone, but I don't have it on my Teams phone. I just wanted to add before we continue that John Boyce has also fielded requests to present in various departments on health and safety. He's actually come in and done his internal audit and presentation, so he is available for that as well, and he has conducted several most recently. So if you have a need in your department, please reach out to John to request it for health and safety, security audit, or presentation.
I would also encourage anyone who has a concern. Certainly, I'm going to always say work with your direct supervisor, your manager, the dean, director over the area, but also reach out to John Boyce, reach out to John Parker, stop by my open office hours. Please communicate with us so that we can do our very best to address whatever your concern or matter is. We are here for you, and I want to be able to help. And frankly, the employee bathrooms are an example of something rising to the level that we were able to get together and make it happen. Once we realize the magnitude of the concerns, certainly, Michelle, I'll ask you to put in writing to John Parker those bathrooms, if you don't mind. Just because I know we keep him in meetings all day, that if he had it in writing, we could ensure that he does not, forget, not that he is going to forget or that he is guilty of forgetting, but I think we all are at some point or another. We just goes back. Like the way I did that.
Yes.
We're gonna move on to the next thing unless there's anything else about campus safety. I see that Susan is teed up for the district plan status report. I'll turn it over to Dr. Murray.
All right, thank you. So, the district completed a strategic planning process in 2023, so the 23-24 year was really the first academic year of any implementation. So, the district is in the process of both developing a report to the district and the board on progress toward the strategic goals, and creating a process for the development of this report. So the process has two major components. One is activities that take place supporting the 6 district goals that you see on the screen, and they're also in your handout for those in the room. Documenting activities that have happened within the district office, because there are some things that are very specific to district operations, things that are centralized within the district that relate to these goals. But they acknowledge that there's also a lot of activity that happens on the campuses of the 4 colleges in support of these goals. So several months ago, there was a planning retreat with the Vice Chancellor of Innovation and Effectiveness and the Deans of Institutional Effectiveness to kind of kick this process off. So the first thing that we have been asked to work on is a crosswalk between the district goals and objectives and the parallel content in our strategic plan for the college. So if you go to the next slide, excuse me, this diagram is an overview of the structure of our plan here at City. This was actually adopted in the fall of 2022, when the Board of Trustees had their meeting here at the college. So there is not perfect alignment between these two. There wasn't an expectation that there would be perfect alignment, but there is interest in knowing how these things intersect. So we have been working on, under each of these goals in our strategic plan, we call them strategies, the district calls them objectives, but there are more specific action items that were identified. And so the crosswalk is taking place at that level. And if you go to the next page, there is, when this document gets posted to the older online meeting materials, that link will be live. You can see the full crosswalk. And you can look at it, whether it's organized under the City College priorities or under the district strategic goals. If you want the details, those are there. So that crosswalk is really for kind of for internal use for the folks at the district who are charged with organizing this reporting information. The other thing that we've been asked to do is to identify 2 activities that align with both our college strategic plan and what are the district strategic goals, so that the district staff who are preparing the report to the board have this content to draw from, to highlight examples or, bring out specific information when they put that report together. I don't have a timeline for when that presentation is going to be made. It's probably going to be April or May. But we have been asked to provide this information by the end of this week. So this has been, in the past, there was not this process that sort of formally involved colleges, asked for this crosswalk. It was just kind of an inquiry, really at about the time that the board presentation was being developed, so not much lead time. So this gave us an opportunity to go through these example activities in city planning, which was done at our meeting last week. And now we're bringing this forward here to College Council as an information item. But it is the district's report on the district strategic plan. So there may be some variability or flexibility in how these things get used. But for each of these items that are identified, we're going to be doing a very brief summary, just what's the description, where within City College is that activity, how, who is leading it, and then if we have any information on the number of students impacted, the number of faculty or staff that were impacted, and if we have any outcomes data available. And some of these things are fairly new. For example, our baccalaureate program, we have enrollment, but it's too soon to have graduates. So I just wanted to bring this here because it will come back around and be on the board agenda later this spring. And if you have any feedback or comments, definitely incorporate that into the process.
Good job, thank you. I'm a visual guy. And so will this crosswalk entail a visual that we will incorporate for me into our priorities, our strategic?
That is a good question. Right now, it is in the form of an Excel spreadsheet. And so I would need to do some brainstorming with our folks that are better versed in design than I am to figure out how to incorporate that into a visual. And, I can see potentially having something that is, a dynamic document with embedded links where you could click on something and then see the district and the college activities.
And I think that was suffice too. But for me, I like to see arrows
Yeah.
and boxes. But I don't want to create any more work.
Yeah, we're still accumulating the text, so.
Good job.
We can get there.
Thank you.
I am so much wanting to tell jokes just because a lot of times when John Parker produces documents, I'm like, can I see a visual? So I think he's just trying to get back at himself.
No.
Tilly, I think I saw it.
I was just, did you mention a timeline for this?
Yes, our draft content is due to the district this Friday. Because they want time to assemble the report, but like I said, we will be working on our own report, on our own strategic plan. This is the district asking for input from the colleges for the district's report on its strategic plan.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? The next one is also Susan is leading. It is an action item. That is the share of ideas to be added to College Council. I'm going to give it back to Susan, and I may interject with some additional things, but this will be a discussion. Susan.
Okay, so this is a reflection of the college structure for our major governance groups, councils that was developed starting 4 years ago. Yeah, we started on this work just before the pandemic with the support of an IEPI improvement grant from the state chancellor's office. And this structure was adopted going into fall 2023 with the publication of an updated college governance handbook. And the last piece of implementing this structure is ensuring that all of these councils that have a direct reporting relationship to college council have a representative that sits on college council. So this came up last fall. We moved ahead with adding the representative for the Professional Learning Council. And we tabled adding the representative from the Ideas Council because there were some questions about a new board position in the Academic Senate and some other structures. And the request was to have time for some more conversation for that to take place. That has happened involving Mona as Academic Senate President and Deanna Shelton as the faculty chair of the College Diversity Committee, which has been incorporated into the Ideas structure. And everybody was ready to bring this back to College Council and move forward with making the representative. We also do have the role of the Dean of Ideas filled, but that is not automatically the person who would be the representative. It would be up to the membership of the Ideas Council to select who their representative to College Council is going to be. So if we are ready to move forward, we would need a motion on the table. And
That's a question. There's gonna be the Dean of Ideas and the chair of this committee will be in College Council,
No. No,
because that was a structure before, if I recall correctly.
no. So, the Dean of Ideas or the Dean of Equity have never been a part of this group, but as we work to get this model in place, I specifically held this up until I had time to discuss it with Mona, who's not here today. So Justin, I also want to defer to you whether we should table this until she's here. Because I don't like the optics of making a vote without the Academic Senate President here. And this got tabled last week because I got last meeting because I got over ambitious with the agenda. But the way that Susan described it, frankly, was perfect as expected. But that the committee would vote to decide who that person would be. So it could be the Dean of Ideas, it could be a faculty on the committee, it could be a classified, it could be. The Ideas Committee has a number of representatives from across the college on that committee. It is commonplace, and I'm in discussions right now with Mona in our last meeting. And I asked her to bring you into, Susan, into this discussion of formalizing the process to ensure a couple of things. One, that committees are indeed voting at the start of each year who the chair and the co-chair would be. And that's something we need to flush out. That I believe that the Senate is flushing out as well, which then Daniel gets back to your question is why it might or might not be the administrator who is on that committee. And I want to make that clear because I also want to be transparent in that we're not trying to pad College Council with administrators, which in some colleges has been the case, right? And so I am hyper aware of the number of faculty versus non-faculty and number of classified and vice versa. And so to just reiterate, that committee would come together at the beginning of each semester, each year and have a formal vote of who the chair or the appointee to this group. And frankly, that should really be happening in every one of the committees or councils rather, except for the ones that are like work related, instructional cabinet, student services cabinet. And so we are learning that hasn't necessarily been taking place and needing to put some structure and writing in place to make sure that does in fact take place.
Thank you. My recollection probably was wrong. I think we voted on probably the committee, not the dean and the committee. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, just in terms of response, yeah, I mean, I know as the new Dean of Ideas, Javier was here the last meeting, and I think the intention was for the share information regarding this. I'm not sure And I know.
No, I just invited her part of her training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I know we are going through some discussions about the structure. And, you know, that you already alluded to, so, yeah, I guess, and because there's still remaining questions, so maybe it would be good to table. Just to make sure all the people are here in the room when we have the discussion associated with the vote. I haven't been able to consult with Mona. She just sent me an email just asking about, so for me, I would be here. But you know, beginning of this yesterday.
No rush, we could table this, and let's, Tia, also work with Angel to get this on my Thursday meeting with Mona. She and I have had discussions about this, and I don't want to misrepresent those discussions, but I would rather she be here for the vote, and I promise Susan that my goal is to not kick the can any further down the road, because this has been tabled a couple of different times. The back piece to what Susan addressed perfectly is the academic senate. When they change presidents, that can be tricky, frankly, in terms of not changing the presidents, but what was decided from the prior president to the new president. And in this case, the new president and her platform bringing on a diversity or equity position within the Senate exec. Right, so I wanted to hold this until that process worked itself out. That person is now been identified.
Yes, they were voted and affirmed.
Yeah.
So it's in our bylaws.
Yeah, and that person theoretically, you know, could be a part of ideas and could theoretically be voted as the person who is here too, if they were a part of ideas. So let's table this, let's add this on the meeting agenda with Mona. I also would, I would feel more comfortable if she was here when we did a vote like this to change the structure of the committee. I think that's just the right thing to do. Because I wouldn't want a vote made and I wasn't here, and you know, I'm the president of the college too. So let's table that. The next item, let's make that first though on the next agenda. I know we don't typically do action items, but I want to make sure we get to it. Speaking of, before I get to item 6, the next college council, I want to invite Marciano and Adon to talk about the college's student complaint process. We're seeing an increase in student complaints, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page about how student complaints should be handled. Had a very detailed discussion with the managers about student complaints, and want to make sure we're all aware of how student complaints work. Given that we need a refresher prior to COVID, and you know, a lot of times we talk in terms of prior to COVID, Marciano and Adon would regularly do updates to departments, the academic senate. So we're working also with the academic senate and the chairs. Sean would love to work with you. Daniel was part of the supervisors were invited to the managers last week, so they got it as well already. And so that is going to be the bulk of next meeting at College Council. Talk about student complaints, make sure we're all aware of how the process works. And in doing so, I also want to state for the record, and Justin will need your help with this, and all the faculty who are here. Very often when we're doing student complaints, we hear from our faculty, probably more than anyone else, that they feel alienated in the process. And I want to make sure that both students and faculty know that they have our support, but that we're obligated because of due process to launch an investigation, whether it's unfounded or not. That is just the way it works. And I'm not saying I agree with it or disagree with it, but I also want to be intentional about faculty knowing that part. And that even as the president, that I have to strive to be impartial, whether I know the facts or whether I don't know the facts of a situation. And very often we will reach out to people unofficially because of the humanistic side of this. It can really feel alienated if you are the subject of a complaint that you now know to not be the truth. This is where we get into graduate school and the big T and the little t But the moral of the story is that we're obligated to launch. I don't even want to use the word, I'm gonna use the word inquiry and not investigation, right? Because these words have meaning, different meanings, right? We're obligated to launch an inquiry if there is a student complaint. Could be why there are no soap in the bathroom, right? I mean, that is an inquiry that we're obligated to research and hopefully make sure there's soap in the bathroom. And I'm sure I'll hear about it if it's not. I never hear about it when we fix something, though. Never hear about it actually fix something.
When I see the soap bullet, you get.
Yes, you picked up on that. Actually makes me feel good when I do hear something that we got right. And we do get a lot of things right. Want to go to number 6, the Dear Colleague letter. I called a meeting with key faculty on campus for tomorrow. Manuel, you're going to be invited on a chat with you after this to some patterns that I'm seeing that I want to get out ahead of and communicate effectively. And so the Dear Colleague letter.
John, you were just seeping over there, man.
I'm surrounded by John. Dear Colleague letter is something that typically comes out of the Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights. It's included in your packet. I've got some notes that I want to read real quickly, open it up to questions. One, a Dear Colleague letter is not the law. It's not the law. This is going to be a lesson in civics and government, in that we have 3 branches of government, 2 of which actually administer the law, right? Congress and or the Supreme Court or the courts in general. And so what I believe this letter is intentionality of confusion. I believe this letter is fear and chaos. And what I want to remind us of, and I will probably do a video this week, is what the chancellor sent out. He had an amazing video that corresponds with those cards, how to respond if you are faced with someone from law enforcement who is inquiring about things that align with our core mission. That the chancellor and I should be the people who refer these folks to, that we're not asking any of our faculty, our classified, our supervisors, or our managers, other than myself and the chancellor, to respond to these requests. We're going to continue to get these kind of things out of the federal government for the next 4 or so years. My message is, let's stay focused on the work. Let's stay focused on our students. Let's stay focused on our mission. I assure you that there are teams of folks at the district and the college who have our eyes on these things. I sat in an ACE workshop today. This is more so a distraction to the work that we're doing, because every time we got to respond to one of these things, then I can't be helping a student. And so I will stop there. There's a whole lot of other things I could say about this letter. Has no impact on the 14th Amendment or Title VI of the Constitution. Prop 209, whether we agree or disagree with it, is already in effect. And we know, those of us who are intimately involved in programs like Puente and Mocha, who with many of our other learning communities, know that there are students from all walks of life who are encouraged, if they're interested in participating in those programs, are welcome to do so. The same with our affinity group graduations. I would say don't waste your time in reading this if you haven't done so already, but I'm now up to about 9 articles in different educational magazines and news outlets that are running stories about this. This is not much to do about nothing. This is a roadmap to the playbook that we are dealing with. So this is real, but most of these are going to wind up, most of these letters and these approaches are going to wind up in court. We've already seen that. We saw that with the last Trump administration. Any questions or additions to additional comments about this.
Kind of around that,
Yes.
since you mentioned a meeting tomorrow. That meeting, is those that are invited, is there anyone else that we missed that should have been on that meeting? I'm just gonna.
You can, so initially I wanted to meet with ethnic studies, had a conversation with Justin. Wanted to meet with Chicano and Black Studies because of a matter that I'm monitoring. I do think I'm trying to find out a way to get information to faculty. That is my number one priority with this particular instance, is trying to get information out to faculty. And so I open it up to you, to Tilly. I think I said it to Justin as well. I'll say it to Manuel. Anyone who you think should be there should be invited. There are 2 agenda items. Number 1 is this dear colleague letter. Number 2 is the student complaint process, where I'll go into detail about why I'm bringing that forward.
Got it, thank you.
But I do not intend to send the Zoom link to the entire campus. I do not
Got
intend
it.
to send the Zoom link to every single faculty member. I believe that will be handled by Marciano and Adon, going to the academic senate, going to the departments, going to Chair's Cabinet. I have a more pressing matter that we're going to talk about that right now is specific to Black Studies and that's the appropriate way to say that. I've seen it 3 different ways now.
You said it right.
Okay, studies. Any other questions about this letter? Okay. Hearing none, we will, any updates for the good of the matter? Hearing none, that concludes our college council. We will see you all same time, same place, and you see the agenda is less.